My title is Add to Your Faith, Knowledge. And I think we realize how important knowledge is in every aspect of life. Knowledge is important. But I'm going to focus in today on the knowledge, adding to our faith, the knowledge of friends, friendship, relationships. Life is about relationships. Christianity, maybe even, we can say maybe even more so. So it's important to think about, to talk about, to discuss the importance of relationships and how we can improve them, how we can understand them better. It's a very important part of the Bible. The Bible is chock full of scriptures about relationships and friendships. I won't get into that too much. For some crazy reason, I'm going to be speaking here in 2 weeks again, so I'm going to kind of introduce the subject today and then get into some more detail in 2 weeks, the day before the first day of unleavened bread. So, there's basically from what I can see, three categories of people or friendships or relationships. And most people, they're strangers. We don't know them, but we run across them from time to time. And that's sort of the first category of relationships. The second category I would call acquaintances, or maybe you could call it casual friends. And then the third category, which I'm going to kind of focus on today, is our close friends. And in the last two categories, casual friends and close friends, there are obviously, like in everything in life, there are degrees. Christ had 12 disciples. Apparently he had 2 or 3 of them that he was closer to. And it's probably true, we've probably heard over the years, that it's hard to have more than, let's say, half a dozen close friends in life during your lifetime. When I refer to close friends, we're talking about people, well, I'll get into it, but we're talking about people that have gotten to know each other, they like each other, they do things together, and most of the time it's good stuff. Sometimes it's not. So relationships, as we know, are often complicated. I've known a number of people down through the years in the church as well as outside the church. They call, best friends forever. I think it's BFF. And guess how long those best friends forever last? A lot of them not very long. And usually they're young people that categorize it that way. Relationships can be very complicated, and God meant it to be that way. Although, it's an interesting thing if you think about relationships in the millennium, how that's going to be so different than it is today, because people will start to live God's way of life, and that makes all the difference, really. That makes all the difference in the world. Let me read 1 Samuel 18:1, and I'll read it. I'm not even sure which translation it is, but it's the best one that I found. The righteous should choose his friends carefully, close friends carefully especially, because it makes all the difference in the world in your spiritual growth. You can get along without close friends, but it makes a big difference if you have them as a Christian in this world. The world does beat us down, and at the end of the age, I think it's probably more true than ever that the world can beat us down if we don't have close friends. And so it's important. I'm going to give you my SPS, 4 behaviors that close friends engage in. And there's many, many more, but these are the 4 that I think are pretty important. Number 1, they trust each other. In relationships, as we know, one of the foundations of relationships is trust. If we can't trust, then there's not much of a relationship there. Now, they can trust each other, but that doesn't mean they don't screw up from time to time. We all sin. We all sin. Proverbs 12:26, I won't go to it, but it makes it very clear, and we all know that we all make mistakes. We all do things that might break a trust to a certain extent. But close friends, because they've known each other quite a while, and usually it does take time to develop a close friend. Sometimes you can meet somebody and within a week or 2, you're going to be a close friend with that person. And that's a good thing. But usually it does take time, just like it takes time to overcome, to grow. It takes time to develop a good, close relationship. Number 2, they accept each other as they are. They accept each other as they are. They've gotten to know each other to the point where they know the person, they like the person, they really think that they want to spend time with the person, and they can let their guard down with these people. They can just let their guard down. They don't have to worry. Let me read something. Bev has mentioned this to me a number of times over the years, and it kind of describes a close friend. I'll try to read it properly. It's by George Eliot. Oh, the comfort, the inexpressible comfort of feeling safe with a person, having neither to weigh thoughts nor measure words, but pouring them all out just as they are, chaff and grain together, certain that a faithful hand will take and sift them, keep what is worth keeping, and with a breath of kindness blow the rest away. Now that's a close friend. Number 3, they can talk about virtually anything. Virtually anything. Now, it doesn't mean they always agree. In fact, close friends can really disagree strongly sometimes, as you probably have experienced over the years. But because they disagree, and maybe even strongly disagree, they respect each other. And it's probably safe to say that close friends have to agree on most things. I think we've seen that over the last several years in the news. If we don't agree on most things, we probably won't be close friends. It just doesn't happen that way. It's possible, but it's not very likely in most cases. Number 4, they consider themselves equals. They consider themselves equals. If we don't consider our friend an equal, he's not a close friend. It's just that simple. Now, we have different gifts, we have different personalities, we have different different ways of thinking and all that sort of thing. But if we don't consider our friends equals, then they're not close friends. We have to consider them equals. And probably there's nothing that prevents a relationship among humans. Nothing that prevents a relationship from becoming close more than one feeling superior or having a self-righteous attitude. And we all have to work on that, leaven of the Pharisees. We all have to work on that. It's a feeling that carnal nature is just so ingrained in that natural mind that it's hard to sometimes get away from. It's important to consider, actually, for the most part, everyone equal. You know, James said in his book of James, he mentioned how, who are we to judge our brother? That's God's job. And God is the only one that can do it righteously. So as I said, you know, the world can beat us down. I think more and more people are just getting, even though there's been a change in this country, people feel like we're in a dark time right now. If they know what's going on. I couldn't believe it the other day. I was watching the news, and I won't get into too much detail, but this person was asking some young people on the beach who the first president of the United States was. In the United States. These were adults. These were young adults. And there were two people that didn't even know who the first president of the United States was. They just got out of high school or college and they didn't know. We're living in times that the human beings have never lived in. We're seeing it if we're watching the news. We're seeing that in spades. And so it's important. It's very important that we, have close friends. Hopefully our mate is our closest friend. And that's critical. And so it's so very important. I hope to get into more detail in a couple of weeks because I think it's an incredibly important part of life.